Hey everyone, Kevin Denney, Grand Island Police Chief. We're here at Beverly Cake Shop for another edition of the Business Beat. Let's go inside and meet Andres and his family. Hey Andres and Herrera family, thanks for inviting me to Beverly Cake Shop. I'm really excited about what we're going to do today. So I don't know what we have in store, but whatever it is, it's going to be exciting, and I hope you guys already forgive me for making a mess of things. So what are we going to do today?
Oh, we're going to be making some cakes, but first, put this on.
All right. So tell me a little bit about how you came to this shop, the history of how you came to Grand Island. As a matter of fact, we talked about it earlier off camera, but tell me that again on your parents, how they worked in California to get here and where you are now.
So this is the dream of two hardworking people, my parents, and my mom started learning how to make cakes when she was like 19 years old. She learned from a lady that was teaching at a university in Guatemala, and she learned all the recipes. And so after that, she started making them on her own. She would sell them to like different businesses so that way they could have desserts, and she did that to support herself. Then later on, she moved to California, met my dad, and they had kids.
Okay.
And so she made cakes on and off to support themselves, but they always wanted to do something on their own.
Right. And they didn't have a shop in California.
No.
How did they do the business?
So it started off first with selling it out of their cars. So they had different minivans, and they would fix the back end so that way they could put different cakes. So when I grew up, that's what I remember seeing them do. Right, they would wake up early, bake the cakes, take us to school, come back, finish baking them, decorate them, and then pick us up from school. Or sometimes they would already be selling out in the streets. And so that's what they did to support all of us.
And how many kids were there?
It was 4 kids.
4 kids, and they sold pastries and cakes out of their van.
Yep.
So all of our cakes, they have a filling. So we cut it in half, and you just kind of place your hand on it, and then take the knife, turn the cake, and then once you've met back with your cut, then you just go through the middle.
Okay.
Then you flip it, you have a perfectly cut cake. Then you take your tres leches milk, our secret concoction. Just a little bit, not a lot.
We can't disclose the ingredients.
No, we
All
cannot.
right.
If
Is
I
this
told
something that
you,
Mom and
I'd
Dad
have
came
to
up with?
kill you.
Okay, well, we don't want that. And
I would
is
see
this something
you
that
again.
is this something that Mom and Dad came up with?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so they came up with all of even the recipe for the cake. They came up with it as well. And so it's a very spongy cake that absorbs that milk, and it allows it to hold it.
And then you take a scoop of strawberry, a scoop of peach. Just like that. Easy peasy lemon squeezy.
Easy peasy lemon squeezy for Kiana. Not for me necessarily.
So once you've
Okay.
covered it, that's what you should be left with. A
All right,
nice,
that's
pretty
beautiful.
Smooth cake.
That is beautiful. And now you're going to get a chance to see how it's not done. Something tells me this is not going to be a fair race. Okay, your shoelaces are untied.
You go and turn your turntable.
Turn.
That makes it easier.
Wrist. What? Hey, hold on a minute. You're already done with that stuff. I'm not getting
You're not that far behind. All right, pinch it.
Okay.
No, spread it out.
All right, spread it out.
You got it. I believe in you.
Did I mention your shoes were untied there?
Did I mention I'm done?
Okay, Kiana's done. Officially, she really kicked my butt on this.
Well, I've got to get going.
Yeah.
Here.
See my beautiful cake? This is not my beautiful cake. This is her beautiful cake. Here's my beautiful cake, and they actually made a picture there. There we go. So here in Grand Island, I've been pushing a lot of community policing and talking about reaching out intentionally to all parts of your community, and that we can do better building relationships. And your parents went through some struggles in California with regard to local policing and stuff. So, you know, talk about that. Feel free to talk about that, because those are things that we can look back on the policing side and say, are there things that we can do better now? And I think there are. You know, there are a lot of things that we did well in 20th century policing, you know, a few decades ago, but now as a police chief here in Grand Island, I want to be responsive to the community and do policing in a new, more closely aligned way with the community. And your parents went through struggles back in the 90s, so talk to that a little bit.
Yeah, so I remember, you know, and it didn't just happen one time, but it was multiple times. My siblings remember it too. We would be selling cakes, and all of a sudden the police would show up. Now, even though my dad had his permits to sell, they really didn't want that many vendors out in the streets selling cakes out of a van. And so they would show up, they would handcuff them, and then they would start throwing every cake that we had into bags and just throw it all away to the trash. And so they weren't the friendliest, they weren't the nicest, but like I told you, my dad, he didn't hold a grudge. That didn't stop them from doing it. The next day, they were out there again making cakes and selling them.
And that speaks to your parents' strength, coming here from another country to this country, that they're just going to work, and they're not going to take no for an answer on stuff. But when did they move you guys here to Grand Island?
I believe it was like 2002 or 2003, they moved us out here.
Okay. And then when you moved here, how long did it take you guys to establish your cake shop and start doing that?
So we didn't open this until 2014. So
okay.
When we moved here, when we were in California, they had already started a small little cake shop. So they had all the equipment. They had mixers, they had display cases, ovens, pretty much everything to be able to start another bakery here. They brought it all with them. And so that was a struggle too, traveling, you know, thousands of miles from California to here. And then they tried doing it, and it didn't work. They weren't able to get their name out there. They, you know, people didn't really know them. So what ended up happening was that they sold all of their equipment, and so they just went and got regular jobs.
And what you grew up, for the most part, here in Grand Island.
Yeah.
Then, what do you like about Grand Island, and what makes you stay here? Because you could go somewhere else and open up a cake shop if you wanted to now. But what do you like about Grand Island?
I like the people, the way, the community. I mean, we came from a place where it was traffic everywhere. I mean, you know, homeless everywhere. And so we moved here, and it was just clean. You know, people are nice to each other. You can get from one point of town to another, you know, 10 minutes. You don't have to calculate your day.
Right.
You know, dealing with traffic and other things. So, yeah, just, you know, just the way the people are in the community.
Let's talk about everybody that's here, because your mom and dad are still in the back working and stuff. So we wrote down the names. I want to go over the names so we don't leave anybody out. But we have, if you want to go through them, Andres and Betsy. Betsy's your sister.
So Betsy is my sister.
And who else do we have? You have Hugo and Hilda in the back.
Yep, those
your
are
mom
my
and
parents.
dad.
Those are the.
And who else?
So we have Danny, which is Daniel's son. So my brother's name is Daniel, and he has a son named Danny. And then we also have his other kid, Nico, that works here. We have my sister's husband, Victor, that works here. And so my wife works here as well, and my brother's wife works here. So it's a whole family. It's a truly family business here.
It's a true family business,
Yeah.
And so talk about how glamorous owning your own business is.
You know, it's not as easy as people think.
So you've got to go outside Grand Island to pick up a lot of supplies and stuff. So what does a normal week look like for you?
Normal week, I mean, figuring out, for example, after a long weekend, because that's when we sell most of our cakes. After a long weekend, we have to figure out, okay, what do we need to get for this week? What special orders do we have to order? I mean, some stuff we got to order online for the coming cakes that are coming up. Um, Picking up, like I told you, thousands of eggs, boxes for cakes, plates for cakes. I mean, it is just a lot of thinking that goes into it. Then the maintenance in the building, and then seeing how we can continue to grow.
How is owning your own business and having the family, being a family-owned business, how has that affected y'all's relationship as a family, positively or negatively? How do you guys get along?
So, like always, family, there's always discussions, right? There's always figuring out how to not cross the line with each other. And so it's not always the easiest thing to do, but we've been able to do it for 10 years and really just helping each other out, right? Really seeing the goal and sticking to that.
And so your parents started the business. Obviously, this was one of their passions and a way to make ends meet when they were growing up and having kids, having you guys. And this is your passion as well. So talk about what you like to make and about the business itself. What the best products, tres leches, all that.
Yeah, so the top selling cake is a tres leches. Everybody loves it. It goes filled on the inside with fruit, covered on top with whipped cream that's prepared here. And so everything is made from scratch. And I think that's something that really makes us different. Like I told you earlier, the eggs being separated to putting, making a cake out of that, and then, having it all decorated here. And so that's something that we're passionate about because you cannot find that anywhere. And so even when we go on vacations and we try to look for bakeries that are like a cake shop, it's hard to find that. It's hard to find a bakery that's just dedicated to making cakes.
Are you pretty critical when you go on vacation to other places?
With the coffee, yeah, with the coffee, yeah. Like we were gone last weekend, and we were having coffee from different places, and it feels good to come back and have our own coffee here. And
So if you're in Grand Island and you don't know about Beverly's, if you're coming from outside Grand Island, what would you like people to know about Beverly's? Some of the other unique things that you guys have. If they visit here for the first time, what would you like them to know?
Just to try it. I mean, our cakes, they are not super sweet. Our portions are big, but it's something that you could eat and you won't feel sick after. And it's all homemade style. So you could truly taste and see the difference from just a standard box cake.
So what's some unique things that most people don't know about Andres or Betsy, who is not on the camera right now? But what's some unique things that you would like people outside of the Beverly's to know about you guys?
Put me on the spot there. Let me see.
We can come back to it if you want to, but I'd like to know something like unique about you and about Betsy as well, so that when somebody comes in from out of town or their first visit here, they can go, hey, Andres, that's pretty interesting. I know that about you, or Betsy, have that connection.
There's something unique. We dedicate a lot of time trying to teach other people about the Bible. And so we both, we're Jehovah's Witnesses, and so we try to teach people about the Bible, and we do that aside from working here many hours. We also dedicate time doing that, and that's completely free. So we like to help other people out in that way.
So you have good family values. Obviously, you have good family connections because everybody's here. You have strong religious roots. So what's not to like about the Herrera family, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so sometimes it amazes people that are like, wow, you guys do all of this and yet still dedicate time to spiritual things. And
so what's the plan going forward as far as the business model? You've got a lot of family members working here, and you've got a very successful business, but what's in the future, the next year, a couple of years down the road?
So the beginning of last year, we bought a building in downtown here in Grand Island. And it's a pretty big building. It's 21,000 square feet. And so we're going to be opening up our second location there. But along with that, we want Grand Island to continue to grow. So we're going to also have 5 retail locations, along with apartments as well. And so that's our goal. that we've set for ourselves. We've been working hard at that. It's going a little bit slower than we anticipated, but it's our first time also doing something like
Yep.
this. So we're
Well,
learning as we
I know
go.
how that works. As I talk about growing back the police department and our staffing levels, and it's always 3 steps forward, 1 step back. You know, so we're working hard to achieve our full staffing, which we're at right now, finally after a year and a half. But now it's a matter of getting people through training, and so there's always frustration. There's like, okay, let's get this done. Let's get everybody through training. Let's get all the police officers on the street on their own. But the good thing is, like we mentioned before, talking about policing, we're getting a lot of people that are coming into the police department here in Grand Island locally, and so they grew up in Grand Island. Some of them speak more than one language, which is terrific. And so I think they're more responsive to the community going forward. And that's part of what 21st century policing is about local policing, hiring local people, and what we were talking about earlier, and being more responsive to the community.
Yeah, yep. And like I told you earlier, you know, when the stories that happened to my parents when they were struggling, you know, when the cops showed up, that never changed their viewpoint, or they never had a negative viewpoint on cops or anything like that. When they started up again in 2011 selling cakes here in Grand Island, they were doing it out of a van in front of Tacos Las Palmas.
Mm-hmm.
And so cops would show up, and of course I'm sure they would get a little bit scared, but they would show up to buy cakes and to
Yep.
you know, take cakes for the weekend or to share cakes between themselves. And so that was awesome to us, you know, to see how it was a complete 180 from what we had experienced.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, that really helped us out. And then being there, my parents got their name out there, and then they were eventually able to open up this place.
Well, I'm gonna put you on the spot again. I'm gonna ask you what you would like to see your local police department do in the future, as far as, you know, as like we mentioned, we're growing our police department back. Our staffing levels are coming back. The people that we're hiring are good people, and we want to make sure that they're responsive to the community. But what would you like to see as a member of the community and as a business owner here in Grand Island?
Well, I think what we're doing right now, you know, being able to talk to each other,
Mm-hmm.
just be friendly with each other, and not, you know, just have that communication, you know. And so, and you guys are doing a good job.
I might never have come in the store if we didn't have this on our list of great Grand Island businesses to come visit. I would never have met you guys probably, or it would have taken some time to do that. So
Yeah.
intentionally reaching out and going places to meet people, me leaving my office, the police officers getting out of their squad cars and walking into places and saying hi. That's going to be a hallmark of what we do in Grand Island going forward. We're going to intentionally make sure that we reach out to the people in our community, to the businesses, and we say hi, that line of communication. And if we do that, we should never have to make a recruitment video. You know, that is our recruitment video, is people in the community knowing the police department, knowing the police officers, and saying we support them and we like them because they represent our community, you know, and they're in alignment with what we believe should be happening in the world.
Man, you know you're not supposed to be eating that.
I'm sorry. Special delivery for the mayor.
So this is a cake you made?
It is.
Wow. What? That's not bad. That's,
Although we had to eat a
somebody
little
took
bit.
a bite out
So
of it.
me and the kids ate a little bit over at Beverly.
That's wonderful. Man, oh man. And I see you put your own picture on it as opposed to the mayor's. I'm a little surprised by that choice.
The next one's yours.
That's wonderful. Good.
All right.